Welcome, Bone Ponies, and we got something special for you today. It is our review of Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. You want something spooky? A little scary? Oh, we got that. And Dungeons & Dragons has done a pretty decent job at going into that. But before we do that, Cody, why don't you tell them
I'm scared.
Well, I mean, yeah, that'll happen.
I'm affrighted.
Yeah. You know what helps with frighting?
Shooketh. Merchandise. Always merchandise.
Absolutely. Yes, for sure.
Swag. You cannot be afraid if you are in swag.
If you in swag, you can't be scared. It's
the only thing you should be scared of is all these deals.
Anytime a new piece, and anytime a new piece of merch goes up too, you always want to be checking.
Yep,
because it goes up on sale.
We do have new merch in the store currently. Actually, yeah, we do. Yep. So check that out.
Get on.
Also, before we dive into Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, we should let you guys know that if you're listening to us on Anchor or Spotify or iTunes, we do have listener sponsorship activated. So if you'd like to support our podcast monetarily, we would super appreciate it because it helps us keep doing it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yep. And Steve, you want to tell the folks at home what we got going on Drive Through RPG and maybe on Patreon?
Well, on Drive Through RPG, we've got a number of our adventures available for download. They are free for now, but you can have the option to give us some money for those if you think that they're worth it. We also have a Patreon set up where we're uploading new content every couple of weeks, so hit us up there, and you can join there for as little as $1 a month.
Yeah.
So.
And we now have a brand new tier that we brought up there, which is our Kurgan Care Package tier, which allows you to join in on our Patreon. You get some of our more exclusive content, plus our free content, and you also get to benefit in helping us give back to the community. Which can go from sending care packages of D&D starter kits, some of our own special adventures being sent to people who would never have an option to be able to play these things or go to good places that offer such a thing.
Yeah, we've been we've been on some boards on Reddit, and we've been talking to different people in the community, and we've been trying to find places or groups that could benefit from getting one of these care packages, whether it is that the kids are having a hard time affording the hobby, or if they're less fortunate, or just even if it's for a good cause. We're just trying to help out. So if you know of anything, please don't be afraid to message us and let us know of some people that could use some fun. We certainly benefited from having these games in our lives as a kid.
Yep.
And we could think of we couldn't really think of a better way to help replicate that is to give it to the next generation of kids.
Of course. All my dice goblins know out there it's an expensive hobby. So.
Yes.
But we gotta keep getting more dice goblins. Power to the goblins.
Power to the dice gods.
That too. You always gotta have power to the dice gods. So let's delve into this. Let's get on in to Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. Spoop, spoop.
I don't know if that was supposed to be a bat. It looks like a dove.
It looked like a hand dove, though. It's creepy. It's crazy.
Made of hands?
Yes, yeah. I mean, you see this fly and you're like, oh, that's a beautiful. Oh my god, it's not a dove.
That sounds like something you would see in Barovia.
That is, and that is all this book is about, is creating that spoopy, that absolutely spoopy genre that a lot of people have known to love, And I think that's one of the real cool things about this book that Wizards has put together, because they have done a couple of books in the past that have always had this horror element. It's always been out there. You have Curse of Strahd. You've had other stuff in the past, like what was that one book you were mentioning, Cody?
Oh, the Book of Vile Darkness.
Yep.
From 3.0, 3.5.
Yeah, so they've always done this, but I feel like this is very well fleshed out in the sense of building that motif. And that's one of the awesome things. I will say, for me, I believe if you're looking out there, and you're wondering, all right, is this a player book? Is it a DM book? I always think this leads more into the DM aspect of if you ever wanted to run a horror thing, great book to pick up. They got some cool tricks in their sleeves with that. But there is also a couple new races, a couple new subclasses, and a bunch of new backgrounds that are offered to player characters. So it's not a waste, even if you wanted to, come in with a more spoopy character in your regular plays.
So, spoopiness aside, I think the real scary thing here is that wizards, they keep doing this thing where they keep giving us little bits of everything in a book instead of giving us a book about one thing. So, we're moving away from having your Dungeon Master Guide, your Player's Handbook, your Monster's Manual, to books like Xanathar's and now Tasha's and now Van Richten's that do multiple things. And I feel that sometimes when you try to hit a lot of targets and you might miss your mark instead of focusing in on just a couple things. This book is well thought out, and it does certainly appeal to people that are trying to run the genres of horror, and it talks about the different genres of horror, which is nice. It's not just everything scary, or
it's not just
bloody,
zombies, or not just vampires. Right. It talks about all of the different types that you can get into.
Yeah. And I think that this, this book is, as Neil has said, is really more designed for the Overlord, the Keeper, Storyteller, Dungeon Master, the person who's setting the tone. Even though there are new sub-races and subclasses, they are pretty specific. They relate to vampires or hags.
Yeah, because you have the damn fears now, which are pretty much just your go at it blade type of person. Or you could be a opposite of blade. You are not fighting your vampiric side, but you're fighting your human side and trying to become a full-fledged vampire. All options.
Plot twist.
Oh my god.
But they are, I just feel that they are kind of specific, and I feel that even the subclasses are pretty specific too. And I think that the book still overall is a keeper's guide. Because I think, if a player came to me and wanted to play one of these things, and if my story wasn't going to revolve around any of that stuff, like maybe there's no vampires in my world, or there's no hags in this setting, or whatever, like that's all a session 0 thing. We don't need to beat it over the head.
For sure.
But that's I feel like that's it's still overall, I think it's a DM's guide.
Yeah, and I mean, if you do want to open those options up to your players, like the DM should be the one that has the book instead of it being one that all the players have, and then if the DM wants, they can be like, well, here's some more options for the players to have, just to show it to them so that they can then like look at them and see them. But it doesn't, if you're a player, you don't need to own this book.
You don't need to. It's not trying to say that you don't. You shouldn't if you want it.
Yeah.
Because
if you want it, go get it.
Like, absolutely.
We'll never stop that. Yeah.
Treat yourself.
Get out there.
But the thing we're trying to say is, like, if you are like us and you have two roles where you are sometimes behind the screen and sometimes you're just rolling dice, I tend to pick up both styles of books.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Sometimes you need to dabble in both.
Yeah, but like thinking back on the way that we used to play, like going back to like what we were talking about, how we used to play. We all like not everybody owned every book.
No.
And that's kind of what I'm saying is like, if you have, some people own some books, some people own others, and like if that's the case, if there's a person in your group that is more or less the forever DM, so to speak, they should be the ones to have this. And then if you want to play as, a Dampier or a Hexblood or have one of these subclasses, they could make those available to you, and you don't need to own the book to have them. And even if even if the DM doesn't want to give you those, the information should still be available through Wizards in some free manner, because they usually put up information about their races on their website.
Talking about it, yeah,
so,
stuff like that. It's pretty easy to at least get it.
Yeah,
that
but at least
way.
but at least those options are now officially available now in like some format. Which is nice.
So let's go into some of these atmosphere aspects that are really cool about the book. I thought the development of like those different backgrounds you could get, the races are actually really the new races. I don't know, they're a little weird because you still are kind of mixed in what you are.
Well, they're ancestry.
Yeah, that's the better way to go.
So like, there's like one image that stuck out to me where there's a very finely dressed half orc holding his neck after being bitten by a vampire, and he's got this musket in his hand. So it's like a late Victorian Gothic horror style. But it was showing that he was going to become a vampire. He was a Dampier of some sort. But he was still a half orc. So
yeah, exactly. It's that ancestry, that legacy that this more talks about for the Dampier, the Hexbloods, and then the Reborn, which I think the Reborn are pretty cool. Because they talk about it as any form of like, these could have been stitched together as Frankenstein and now you're back, or you were actually like reanimated as a full corpse with now you have just meat missing from your arm that's full of bone, but you're still live.
Yeah, like a phantom limb.
Yeah.
It's cool.
So it is really cool stuff, but it all builds on that motif, that atmosphere.
And it is also, that's what I mean, it is also very specific. So it's, I don't know how much fun it would be to be the Dampier in a, again, very sunshine, happy adventure setting.
Oh yeah, it's gonna it's gonna be a huge just hurdle.
I mean, I would like to do that anyway, because I tend to like,
Yeah. Oh well, and that's a beautiful part about this whole book is it talks in that atmosphere of horror and trying to get you, one of the cool things that always stuck out to me is like, make your spells spooky. So like a regular, if you're gonna cast like produce flame is a very common spell that a lot of people will cast. Well, now that flame has a skull inside of it when you cast it.
Instant spoopy.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Crazy. I'm spooked.
Yeah.
Use your spooks.
Use your spooks. But on top of that, they really go into a great deal of like the flaws that a player character should have. So that aspect of, a hero is a hero, but it's not going to be scary to go in a dark cave if your player has no fear, like your character has no fear of that dark cave. So I think they go into RP in a perfect way, especially on, everybody should know us by this point. We love our RP. RP, and if you don't allow for those aspects of RP to really go in, it's not gonna, that motif isn't gonna build.
Well, I think that's just, that's a good point for storytelling. It just anyway, I never ever liked the knight in shining armor. That is not appealing to me at all.
Because usually somewhere in their armor is a little bit of dirt.
Give me Sander Clegane any day. Somebody that has a past and has demons that he's got to fight with and has to actively struggle with his decisions every time he makes
overcome
them.
Over their
that is a dynamic character, and that would be so much fun to play, and it's so much fun to read. I don't like, I'm just good for the sake of being good, and nothing scares me, and I'm always right. Like that's boring.
Yeah, absolutely,
for sure. And I think they go into that in this book extremely well. They go into Van Richten's into the way of to how to build a horror story, and I think that is 100% the right approach. because it allows everybody to realize, hey, these are motifs, and it goes in and it covers all aspects of horror. You want a psychological horror? Well, here you go. This is how you're gonna. This is an aspect to do it. Here's some NPCs that we have already built. Here's a Dark Lord that you can use. Here's those aspects. And it allows for especially that first time DM, like maybe you have loved playing Dungeons and Dragons, you're thinking about overlording your own, and you wanted to do something horror, but you never had anything. Well, now you do. Now you have a starting point, and I think that's a really cool part of it.
Yeah, and I think that's something that should be said too, is that the book is providing, it's giving you overviews to these things. It's not going to give you like the most detailed, this is how to do it step by step, like Stephen King's taking you by the hand and walking you through your adventure.
They kind of do though, Cody.
They do, but it's not super extensive.
Well, because the way that they do
so
it.
Big.
And the way that they do that, though, is with that in the end of the book, they have one adventure that they already have pre-set up. And that allows you to see how they put everything together. So granted, it's not for all, what is it? I think they have like 7 or 8 genres of horror or something like that in the book. Somebody will correct me in the comments, I'm sure.
No, they won't.
But maybe, I don't know. Somebody might.
Yeah, they might leave a comment. They might also like and subscribe.
Do it now. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong, viewers.
Yeah. He said there are 13 different types of horror in this. Prove him wrong in the comments below.
I never said 13.
No, you said 13.
Prove Steve wrong.
Yeah, prove me wrong. They're both wrong.
But anyway, yeah. But they go through that whole adventure in the end, which I think is a great touch, because instead of having like each theme has their own pre-made adventure, they just showed you, hey, this is a way you could do it, but do it with your own themes too. Go have fun.
Yeah. Go, get out there.
Do it.
Make merriment.
Make merriment with your fear. But yeah, so to continue into that whole flaws aspect of like making a horror that Van Richten goes into, they actually do a really awesome thing, which is it gave me like that Call of Cthulhu vibe, because for those who have never played Call of Cthulhu, you're pretty much not like there to hack and slash your way through anything, or really like you're kind of just trying to survive what you're in.
The life expectancy of characters in Call of Cthulhu is pretty low.
2 hours.
So to the point that they had to make another version of the game called Pulp Cthulhu,
yep,
where you actually stand somewhat of a chance. Like you can actually like go toe to toe with like some of the smaller monsters.
Yeah,
but ultimately,
maybe sometimes
you can take one and you got to keep running.
Right. Ultimately, you're done.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the one time we played Pulp Cthulhu, we tried fighting some stuff and didn't really work out so great.
So I think for Dungeons and Dragons, this aspect that they brought in gave me those vibes when I was first reading it. Because usually, like, Dungeons and Dragons is all you're the hero. Like, you're no matter what, you're gonna go save the princess, or something along the, you're gonna just slay the dragon. Hence, Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah. But this aspect.
Wait, you mean you have to kill that? They were implying that you have to kill the dragon.
I mean, bards have different ways of killing the dragon. It could be in a Shakespearean sense.
Slay the dragon.
Exactly. Yeah. But this aspect I think is really cool in it, which is to have your players play as a survivor.
I'm a survivor.
Exactly. But to play as this survivor in this world, so they're a commoner level stat. They're a base stat from like the back of the monsters manual. Very, very simple. It might be a squire, might be something along those lines. and now they have to survive a zombie horde that's attacking their village.
Essentially, become the dirt people that inhabit the world around your demigod murder hobo.
Exactly.
Basically.
Exactly. And so it paints that aspect of this is what the everyday person has to fear in the world. In that demi-plane, from this dark lord, whatever it may be, this is what they have to fear. This is what they have to live through. So when you come up and you're acting all macho, like, what are you to like, they have other stuff to worry about. You know what I mean? And that's why, like, especially in like the world of Barovia, a lot of the people who live there are dark, secluded. They don't, if you're gonna come up to them, they're gonna question everything about you because they don't know who works for Strahd and who doesn't. And
it's always sunny in Barovia. It's so nice.
And that aspect can be painted very well with that whole survivor aspect, or even if you just wanted to play a Call of Cthulhu-esque game in Dungeons and Dragons, just play as one of these survivors. They have a whole leveling tier thing, which pretty much, they only do 3 levels, but you now configure it off of there. It's no different than doing 20 levels, and then if you wanted to continue playing after 20, you know how to do it because there's the formula.
It's nice that they did that, because I know just from running like some of the pre-made games, like I ran Tomb of Annihilation with Frank and some of our friends, and we had hirelings that wanted to bridge the gap between like becoming, like full-blown NPCs, but then like actually becoming like having like character classes. And it developed over time, and I just had to homebrew it, because there wasn't really like a formula for that in 5th edition. Matt Colville and MCDM, they did a lot with the Strongholds and Followers book.
Yeah, they did a good job with that.
Because 5th edition really was lacking on a lot of that stuff.
Well, I think part of that reason, though, too, not like against Wizards, they tried to simplify when they put out 5e, and anybody who's played 3.5 and knows the leadership feat, which we've talked about in previous stuff, that is not simple.
No. There was a lot of things about 3.5 and 3 that were not simple. And 5th edition was definitely a simplification of the whole system.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I think that's why they were especially scared to do an aspect of that, because they were like, we saw how that worked.
Maybe not even scared. Maybe just like, how do we simplify this very complex?
They were system.
That's why they decided,
from all the spoopiness.
Exactly. When we simplify this, we're gonna do it spoopily.
Indeed.
Yes. Let's make things more easier and more spoopular.
I think everybody can get behind that.
Yeah.
And I was just trying to say that I think it's cool they added another aspect to, NPC and
like bridging that gap.
Give you a little something extra, because you always I think it's cool to just get that perspective too of what if you're not the main character? Like, what if you're not the hero and you just inhabit the place where the bad stuff's happening? How does that affect you? What do you see is going on? Are you going to trust this person who says that they can, wipe out the vampires that have taken over your village? This person just came out of nowhere.
What do they want? Yeah.
Right. You're going to trust them? They have a weird look about them. And it's cool, and I think I've seen that done in different writing too, where it's like, like you follow any like the Game of Thrones books. It's like, well, here's Jaime Lannister's chapter, and here's Robb Stark's chapter, and then here's like a little snippet of some peasant that like happened to be nearby. It's my absolute favorite style of writing. Like if my novel that I'm writing, that's every chapter is somebody else's point of view, because I feel you just build a bigger picture that way. You get to see the world through all the characters' eyes.
Yeah, and I think that the reason why they put it in this book specifically is because not only does it give you another point of view, but it gives you an expendable point of view. Because this is a horror story, this is a horror book, so it allows you to create characters that, they're going to die, or maybe they won't, but they'll come super close. So you can create like a bunch of characters that like won't last a session, but
well, you might want to cinematically too, like have this big monster reveal where it comes out and grabs somebody and just annihilates them.
Yeah,
you know, or the opening blow just wipes out who's ever in front of them. And maybe you can't do that to your party because then you won't have players.
Or you shouldn't. Yeah, you shouldn't do that.
You know?
You know?
Yeah.
But it's definitely, that is a great point, and it's, you know, it could be the way you introduce your big bad. Like here, all your players went to take a rest in a town, and you know, where it would be a dream or something like that they think is going on, where they're living their life through one of these survivors, and then boom, the big bad hits. They're going through, all the survivors die, and that's when finally the players wake up and realize, oh shit, the town's under attack, and now they already know what is happening in the town. And, you know, they can start reacting. It's a little metagamey, little not, but, you know, it helps paint that picture. And I think that's the important part.
Yeah, and it doesn't even need to be that. It doesn't even need to be that dream stuff or anything like that. It could just be like, okay, well, you guys are over here. Meanwhile, over here, something else is happening. I'm going to show you what's going on just to paint you a picture. And then over here, meanwhile, your characters have no idea that happened, or they might hear about it happening, you know, and that's sort of like how it could work out, is like, oh man, this guy came and he like tore a dude in half, and someone would be like, that was Jim. That was my guy. I remember Jim getting torn in half by the like that.
And I was just thinking that, like, that would be such a good way to set up like an actual like adventure. Where like you could have the players play, like your new group sit down, session one. They give them these NPC stats, these survivor stats, and you have them have like this horrific thing happen. This monster shows up, werewolves, whatever, tear the shit out of everybody, and then like 2 days later, as the players, they've come into town and like they're burying these people or whatever. And their players are like, okay, like they know, but their characters don't know. So they have to, you know, it's a good way too to, like, you want to test who's a metagamer and who's not, you know?
Clearly this was 6 werewolves that came.
What? This appears to be the work of no less than 6 werewolves.
No more, no less.
I shot him 9 times.
One werewolf was hit very badly. I can tell. How do you know? There's no blood down anywhere. I just know.
Looks like one of them was blinded in the left eye by perhaps a pitchfork or some sort of other farming utensil.
Well, one of these farmers was certainly very brave and
yes. Truly a hero. If only we could find him, we could recruit him as our party member. Bob, you gotta stop getting attached to every single character you play. Shut up! I liked him. Ricky was cool. He punched a werewolf.
When somebody punches a werewolf, you gotta get
if I met an NPC named Ricky and he punches a werewolf, I'd be like, all right, this guy can hang.
Yeah. I mean,
but like I wouldn't save him, like, if, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Only so much you can do.
Right. Like if Ricky came to my wizard in Barovia and was like, "Hey, Graz, can I follow you? Like, I punched a werewolf." I'd be like, "Sure."
Yeah.
And like the first time
you get some black ichor, you're gonna hand it right over.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, Ricky, drink this.
This will make you stronger against werewolves.
Kills him instantly. As we know. But yeah, so, and they also, in this book, they cover a bunch of the dark lords that you could possess. And they also talk about, one of the cool things is that most of these like dark lords, as much as like they have their own domain, they're trapped in it as much as the player characters or the commoners or the people of that realm.
And Dark Lord, you mean like Strahd himself is a Dark Lord, and
I mean,
yeah.
You got a lich that's like, you know, now become an arch lich. That could be your Dark Lord.
Spoopy.
Yeah.
A giant skeleton of a giant that is a giant version of it, you know?
Is it giant?
Can you say it one more time?
It's a giant skeleton that is a giant
What
version
size
of a
category
giant.
would you
It
say?
would be humongo. It's actually not even a part of it.
Humongo.
It's not
He's
not
so,
even a part of it.
he's
Yeah.
so big, he invented his own size category.
Exactly. It's pretty crazy. He actually is
Humongo.
like the land that everybody lives on is the giant skeleton. That's how big it is.
Dang.
That's how big Humongo is.
Oh, is his
name Hugh Mungo?
And Hugh
Dark-
Esquire Mungo.
The
No,
Dark
no, you
Lord
guys-
Hugh Mungo.
You guys are really delving in deep to my.
Are we spoiling Strahd?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Lord,
It's okay.
the deeper lore.
Well, you spoiled it for yourself, so.
No,
Yeah,
you guys
not
called
sorry.
on. No, you've read it in between the lines, so like I'm
Mhm.
proud of you, but also I'm disappointed.
I'm proud of you, but then I can never really be proud of you.
Yeah,
so.
you know, I have to bury that down.
And never bring it up
Never.
again.
Yeah.
Nope.
But these are all things you could do with the help of Van Richten's.
Van Richtenstein.
I know that is. I don't believe that is.
That's a different man.
That is a completely different person.
Oh, all right. My
I
bad.
mean, yeah, it's all right.
It happens.
But yeah, so that's pretty much our overarching review of Van Richten's. Pretty cool book. Adds a lot of different cool stuff. Definitely, if you're an overlord, I'd recommend putting out the money, getting it. I know Amazon does some good deals. If you want to go through them, help. Well, I guess it's no longer helping Jeff Bezos. Kind of. It's
Get him to space.
Yeah, you're trying to get him to Mars. This is the way to do it.
Right.
You
You can always support your local game store.
Yeah, go right down in there. Talk to them. They probably, the person behind that counter probably has a great review of the book as well. You know, that's how Cody met a wizard.
I did meet a wizard.
Yep.
A real one.
Yeah, no, real life wizard.
Yeah, at a
Bookstore-
place called Tinker Gnome.
Bookstore vanished after they talked to the man.
It's
really did.
it's how this podcast started. Actually.
I heard about that store forever, and the one time I went there, the very next time it was closed.
That
it
sounds
was
the
gone.
plot like of anything like Gremlins. That's how that
Yeah,
works. Yeah,
and the man said, he goes, "Just so you know, kids, the book is just guidelines.
Yep.
It's all here."
And then poof.
That was a wizard, man.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that could have been a completely different demi-plane. Think about it. You know?
Wow.
Yeah.
Was he a Dark Lord?
He could have been.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm waiting to find out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Waiting for the other shoe to drop.
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, for us here over at Tabletop Totality, I think that concludes our review of Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. Any last words, Steve, Cody?
Get spoopy with it.
Oh.
Get vaccinated.
Interesting attempt. So then you
Yeah.
can get spoopy in person.
Exactly.
Wow.
I like
it.
I'm saying it just because I got my second shot today. So
congratulations.
There you go.
I'm all full of 5G and ready to go.
Well,
There you go.
you gotta wait like 2 weeks afterwards.
Yeah.
See, I wanted to get it over with, so I just went with the J&J, and then that was the whole.
That's a risking it for the biscuit, yeah.
I know, but still here, still kicking.
There you go.
Shishow.
You know, they haven't got me yet.
Not yet. They got that chip in you now. No,
waiting for the other shoe. Waiting for the other shoe to drop on that one.
Waiting for the wizard to show up.
Yeah, waiting for that one as well.
I gotcha.
You gotta be quicker than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, before we get on another random tangent, that is it for Bone Pony Ranch over here at Tabletop Totality. Always make sure go and check out our Patreon, our website over at tabletoptotality.com, our podcast that you're either listening right now to on YouTube or over wherever you get podcasts. So make sure
Wherever those podcasts grow.
wherever I don't know. We just
From
plant
the
the
podcast
seeds.
tree.
We just plant the seeds and they just sprout wherever they want.
It's
wild.
much, but it's honest work.
Yeah. And definitely keep an eye out. We'll be starting to put out some pretty cool stuff coming throughout this whole month. So
yeah, we got big things in the works.
Absolutely.
we always plan it over here, but
Big jabs.
Keep on trotting, my bone pony folks, and stay spoopy.
Trot away, bone ponies.
I liked it. It came to mind. I was like, trot on.
Clip, clap, clip, clap, clip, clap.
Clippity clap, bone ponies. Can a bone pony neigh?
Would
it be like brains?
I'm trying to remember.